Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then I'm so happy to meet you. If not, then welcome back. Let's get straight into today's video. We're going to be talking all about epilepsy. Epilepsy is a neurological condition that affects up to 40,000 people in Ireland and 50 million people worldwide. It manifests itself as seizures. It can sometimes be known as an internal electrical storm in the brain because normal brain activity is disrupted. The main form of treatment for epilepsy is AEDs, anti-epileptic drugs, but it can take a long time before seizures can be controlled. I'll talk a little bit about this when I talk about my own journey with epilepsy later in the video. Sometimes surgery is also needed where epilepsy may not be controlled by the anti-epileptic drugs. Some seizures just happen. There's no known cause. In other times, there can be triggers such as too much alcohol, stress, anxiety, lack of sleep. There are many different types of seizures. I know that most of us, I was the same before I was diagnosed with epilepsy, we kind of have one image in our head of what an epileptic seizure is. And they are generally where someone falls to the ground and has convulsions. I think that's mainly what we see depicted on television or in film. But in fact, there are many different types of seizures. And I am going to touch on that a little bit later on when I talk about my own types of seizures that I have. And I'm also going to touch a little bit on first aid for different types of seizures. I've gotten some information off Epilepsy Ireland and I have it written out here and I'm going to talk you through that in a little while. I will say, if you want more information, check out the Epilepsy Ireland website. There is some really, really good information on there. Excuse me. So moving along, I think I'm going to talk a bit about my own journey with epilepsy. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of about 15. I first noticed something was a little bit not quite right. Probably just after my first year in secondary school, and the only way I can describe it is I describe it as moments. This is the word I always use to describe it before I knew that there were seizures. And during these moments, it would basically be like I'd lose awareness. It could be a couple of seconds, it could be a minute, and I would still be moving, and probably to people looking on, they probably wouldn't even notice anything was happening. But for me, I felt like I lost a little bit of awareness. I was conscious, but I didn't know what was going on. Me and my mother first noticed these and we went to the GP. And the GP then referred me to a pediatrician. And from there, I was referred on to a neurologist. There was quite a waiting time at this point for the neurologist. So I was tried on different anti-epileptic drugs during this time period with the pediatrician. Unfortunately for me, as with many people with epilepsy, the first medication I tried didn't work for me. It had really, really bad side effects. And the second one I tried also didn't work for me. It also had some very bad side effects. Actually, the side effects for me were, the first one, I was super tired. And the second one, I had insomnia. So in the first one, I couldn't do anything but sleep. And in the second one, I couldn't sleep. Insomnia, it was really, really awful. Anyone that has insomnia, I feel for them because it is so hard. So those were the first two drugs I tried that didn't work for me. At this point, I ended up in A&E. Because I had this weekend where I seemed to be having a lot of seizures. And so my GP suggested going to A&E, which I did. I was waiting on a neurology appointment at that time. So I was in A&E, I think I was in hospital for a few days. And I got to meet the neurologist. And he put me on a new drug. We started out really, really low. And we worked our way up with the dosage. And this for me was absolutely fantastic because I started to see an improvement. Bearing in mind, this improvement took a very, very long time. It was 7 or 8 years before I became completely seizure free. It can take a long, long time. I am now almost 2.5 years seizure free, which is absolutely fantastic. I think when I got to that 1 year seizure free, it was a big, big milestone. I know a lot of people ask, can you drive with epilepsy? So in Ireland, I'm not sure about other countries, it can differ a little bit. You need to be at least 1 year seizure free before you can drive. So getting to that 1 year was kind of like, it's a big milestone, and I'm sure anyone else that has gotten to that year understands that it's a big, big milestone. So yes, that was my experience in the early days with the diagnosis and everything like that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the types of seizures I have. So I have 3 different types of seizures, and they are complex partial, simple partial, and motor seizures. So simple partial, complex partial originate from one part of the brain, usually in the temporal lobe. In my case, it's the left temporal lobe. Yes, that is my left hand. I had to check. You can thank my dyspraxia for that. So they're the types of seizures I have. I also have motor seizures. The motor seizures were something that I was diagnosed with a little bit later on, and the way I describe them is that they affect sort of my muscles, and my muscles can go weak, or I can feel almost like I can't move. They were probably the most frightening of seizures because I was fully aware, but I felt like I just couldn't move properly. The complex partial and simple partial can be quite similar, only in the simple partial you don't lose awareness like you can in the complex partial. I often say that if I'm sitting watching television, or maybe I'm walking along a street, I could have a complex partial or simple partial seizure, and to people looking on, they might not even notice this. So yeah, that's kind of the treatment and the types of seizures I have. I am going to do a quick run through first aid for different types of seizures. I am also going to have this on a highlight section on my Instagram if you want to check it out. It's really, really important if you know somebody with epilepsy, or just in general to know what to do if somebody's having a seizure. As I said, I got this off Epilepsy Ireland, so I do have it written down. I did not memorize it. So I'm going to go through this here. So for generalized onset seizures with motor seizures, so this is tonic-clonic, tonic-clonic, atonic. So these are kind of your seizures that you might see on TV where somebody falls to the ground, okay? So in these, the most important things are to time the seizure, protect or cushion the person's head, if possible turn the person on their side, do not restrain the person unless they are in danger. Let the seizure run its course. Do not put anything in the mouth. So I think this is one of the biggest myths out there associated with epilepsy, which I will do a video on myths particularly, but is that you should put something in the person's mouth. This is definitely 100% not true, and you should never ever do that. After the seizure, turn the person on their side after the seizure stops. Stay with them until they recover and respond fully. Then for complex partial seizures, time the seizure, don't restrain the person, let the seizure run its course, do not agitate the person, guide them away from danger. As I said, I could be walking and have a complex partial seizure or a simple partial seizure, and this is where it could be a little bit dangerous if I were to walk out on the road or something like that. Then it also says speak gently and reassure the person, and stay with the person until they recover and respond fully. Last of all, we have absent seizures, minor seizures, focal aware, or simple partial. So I know there's a lot of different types of seizures here, and I haven't touched on every single one of them. But again, stay calm, time the seizure. If they wander, guide them gently from danger. Stay with them until the seizure is over. Reassure them and explain what happened. So there's quite a lot there. As I said, I am going to share a post to my highlight section on my Instagram regarding first aid for seizures. there was also a section here that I thought was important, and that's an ambulance should be called if it is the first known seizure. Okay, the seizure lasts longer than normal. The seizure lasts over 5 minutes. More seizures follow without recovery. There are concerns about breathing. The person is injured, pregnant, has another medical condition, or if you are in any doubt, call an ambulance. Any doubt, call an ambulance. That's the most important thing to take away from that. So that is the first aid for seizures. I feel like I'm running out of breath here, but I think I have more or less come to the end of today's video. I hope it was helpful, it was informative, and hopefully you got to know a little bit more about me and my experience with epilepsy, and you might know a little bit more about epilepsy, particularly if you have epilepsy yourself or you know somebody who has epilepsy. I hope this has helped you a little bit. I shall see you in a week's time for my next video. And thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications bell, and you will be notified every time I upload. I also leave my Instagram handle at the end of this video, so please give me a follow over there. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really